Welcome back to the sweatshop, boys and girls. Today we are replacing a radiator on this 2005 Toyota Corolla. The issue with our radiator is that it is spitting its fluid all over the transmission. We currently have a leak on this side here of the radiator. Before we get started with today's video, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. The key to success when doing this job is to make sure that your engine is cold. If it is hot, do not touch or service the radiator system. You will burn yourself. Our first step is going to be to remove the radiator fan. In order to do so, you're going to have to take out this 10mm bolt here and the 10mm bolt on this side here. When you're done disconnecting your two 10mm bolts, you'll need to disconnect this connector here. Now, of course, you can use any old ratchet just to remove those 10mm bolts, but I find this style of ratchet here really makes my life quite a bit easier. What you can do is twist the handle like this, and as you can see, the 10mm socket is moving. I love this ratchet. If you don't have one, yeah, well. I got this particular ratchet from Crappy Tire. Unfortunately, they don't sell it anymore. You can probably find them on Amazon or something like that. I'll search around on Amazon and see if I can find a ratchet similar to this, and I'll list it down below and you can click the link to purchase it. Now, after you have removed your two 10mm bolts, the next step is to, of course, remove the connector. You'll need a flat pocket-sized screwdriver like this to do so. There's also a little clip or tab that is on the rad fan over here. What you'll need to do is go ahead and get a small right angle pick in order to release the tab. This is the sort of right angle pick that you'll need. What you need to do is be very gentle when working these things off. Take the pick and place this behind the white plastic and then pull on the black tab until it separates. And then do the same on the other side. With that separated, you can go ahead and push down on the tab here and slowly wiggle the connector off. Don't yank on the wire, of course. With that off, it's not in frame, but there is another connector just the same as this one here, right underneath this radiator hose here. What you'll need to do is the exact same process in order to release it. Once you get both tabs and the connector out of the way, take the connector, loop it underneath the upper rad hose, and then move it out of the way. Your next step now is to remove this black hose here for the overflow tank from the radiator. Just wiggle it off. If it's overly tight on there, you can get a little pliers just to squeeze the ends of the hose and yank it off. With that all out of the way, you can now go ahead and maneuver your radiator fan assembly out of the car. Essentially, what you need to do is wiggle the rad fan back and forth, and you will eventually work it through the transmission line as well as that upper radiator hose. Trust me, it's much easier than doing many other manufacturers. And there, boys and girls, is a shot of our actual problem. Pretty, isn't it? Next step, get your favorite drain pan. With your drain pan under the radiator on the left side of the vehicle, you'll go ahead and twist this tab there. That, my friends, is the drain plug for your radiator. Just make sure you get a bucket underneath in the right spot. Otherwise, you'll be cleaning up a nice watery mess. To assist in breaking the drain plug free, you can use a needle nose pliers. Just be careful with it and don't break anything. God, fuck, that's tight. There's no shame in using pliers or tools, boys and girls. That's what they're for. Now, with it slowly draining into the pan, that is the best time to go ahead and take your radiator cap off. By taking the radiator cap off, it ensures that the radiator will drain quickly. With the radiator draining, go ahead and release the two 12mm and clamps that hold the radiator in place. In this case, they are both the same, so you don't have to keep track of which side is which. With those two clamps out of the way, the next thing you can knock off on the list is the transmission connector. That one there and that one down there. Be sure that you have replacement clamps ready and make sure that you have a nice needle nose vice grip in order to get those clamps off. When you are getting them off, take your time because they're not fun when they slip off of the vice grip and hit you in the finger. Now, before you remove your gender neutral shift juice lines, what you would like to do is use a pair of hose pinches like this in order to clamp off the fluid from coming out. So, employ the use of 2 of those on both lines. With our tranny lines out of the way, you can go ahead and employ the use of a rag to catch whatever residual fluid falls out of your transmission cooler. Our next step is to go ahead now and tackle that bottom radiator hose. Best way to do that is with a pair of vice grips or a designated hose clamp tool. With the radiator hose removed, go ahead and drain whatever residual fluid is left in the system out of the bottom radiator hose. Also, here is a tip, my friends. Be very careful when trying to take off the stock clamp. As you can see, it has that stupid locking mechanism which never works. All it ever does is get in your way and frustrate you. Of course, when this stupid clamp decides to release, your finger will be in the proximity of either end of the clamp, which will then collide with your finger and will send you into a state of depression and wild feverish craziness. So, before that happens to you boys and girls, make sure you use a vice grip to remove this stupid contraption and replace this pile of shit with a worm clamp, because that's what all these goddamn cars should come with instead of these stupid things. With all that crap removed on the passenger side, you now have one upper rad hose on this side to remove. Of course, this one has a normal clamp. It's just a regular clamp without any sort of locking mechanism, so it comes apart quite easily, as all clamps should. Of course, all manufacturers choose to make mechanics' lives a living hell. So, twist the hose like so until you get it loose, and then yank it off nice and slowly. Then, move it out of the way. Boys and girls, we are now ready to pull this radiator out. Let's yank it out. Check that out, boys and girls. Looks real nasty. Oh, God. Before you discard of your old radiator, make sure you get these 2 grommets that hold it secure to the body on the bottom side of the radiator. The next step after that is to go ahead and compare both radiators. Make sure that you have the right radiator. If you don't, you will of course want to cry yourself to sleep. Even though I have the right radiator, I still feel like crying myself to sleep, so that really doesn't matter. Now, before you put it in the car, after you made sure that it is exactly the same, be sure to do your own quality control check, because sometimes in various factories across the world, things get missed. So make sure that your drain plug here is nice and tight, and the 2 transmission line fittings on either side are nice and tight. Remove these 2 rubber pieces from the transmission lines, and then go ahead and install the grommets before you put it in the car. Boys and girls, do not put the grommets on the radiator. They will fall off of your radiator and send you into another frenzy. So put them on the car first, and then grab your radiator, line it up, and place it into the car. Slide it in very gently. Be sure not to smack it on anything or drop it into place. Just don't break it, essentially. Whatever you do when dropping it in, don't grab the fins aggressively. You will crush them. Now you can go ahead and put your hoses back in place. With all the hoses connected on the right side of the radiator, you can go ahead now and put these clamps that retain your radiator back into place. Don't over torque them and don't under torque them. Now the time has come to dump this guy back into the car. Make sure you line up those tabs underneath there on the radiator, and then go ahead and secure it with the 10mm bolts. With your radiator fan secure, you can now go ahead and put back your upper radiator hose, overflow hose, as well as your fan connector. If you are reusing the clamp like I just did, what you want to do is put the clamp back in the same place that it was resting originally. With everything back together, of course the time has come for us to go ahead and fill this thing up. With the Toyota brand, I like to use Toyota radiator fluid. It's actually quite good and does its job quite well as compared to some other manufacturers out there. Here's a tip. Instead of boring a hole right around this thing, what you can do is poke a hole like this right here and there. and then you can pour it without it gushing out all over the place, and it won't spill all over the place. Get a funnel that is the appropriate size of the radiator neck. That way it fits snug inside the radiator neck and will not fall out or fall over when you go to pour the fluid in. That's enough rambling. Let's go ahead and commence with filling this thing up. You can get concentrate, but you actually come out cheaper with the premix. The reason being is because the work's already done for you and you don't have to purchase distilled water. Looks so nice and drinkable, doesn't it, boys and girls? Look at that color. As it starts to level off, just keep topping it up as needed, and then once you start to get to a point where you're not topping it off every couple of seconds, go ahead and start the car. I think that's enough of that shit. For all you folks who are doing this job in the hot weather and are thinking of taking a sip of this wonderful looking fluid, it is poisonous. How we know this is because it says it right on the jug. That word, danger, and poison indicate that it could be harmful. And the skull with the X through it is a dead giveaway. When you have a funnel that is full of coolant like this and it's not draining down anymore, what you can do is walk over to your upper radiator hose and squeeze it like so. And as you can see, there are bubbles coming out. Just keep doing this until you empty most of the funnel. If it doesn't go down, no problem. Go ahead, start it up, and the air bubbles will start working their way out of the system. As you can see, the funnel is now empty after some time. Keep repeating this process until you get as much coolant into the cooling system as you can, and then go ahead and bring it up to operating temperature. Now, the best way to bring your car up to operating temperature safely is to leave the radiator cap off so that the bubbles come out of the system. But you won't know what the actual temperature is. What you can do is hook up a scan tool to check out your engine coolant temperature. Any generic scan tool will tell you what your engine coolant temperature is. That's this right here. 43 is what we're currently sitting at Celsius. What you want to do is, when bleeding the system, do not have your system exceed 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. It's too hot for a car when you're bleeding it, and you can damage some of the cooling system. Also, make sure that you run your heater on the hot side so that you know when the heater core has hot fluid coming through it. When there's heat inside the vehicle, that is an indication that you have fluid running through the heater matrix, which means that the coolant is making its way around the system. Just let it sit at idle as it comes up to temperature and watch for the radiator fan to come on. With your radiator bled and the car up at operating temperature, your next step will be the following morning. What you want to do is, when the car is cold, go ahead, remove the radiator cap itself and check the fluid level. Top up as needed, and also check the overflow tank. And of course, don't forget to fill this guy up. What you can do, because it's a bit hard to see through this, it's not exactly transparent. What you can do is shine a light on the backside of the radiator overflow tank and fill it up. And that'll show you exactly where your fluid level is. Well, boys and girls, that's all she wrote for the 2005 Toyota Corolla. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss one of my new videos. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. If you drain it when it is hot, you will burn yourself. The engine as well as the radiator, they'd be cold at the same time. That's so stupid. The fluid usually ends up, I don't care about that. Fuck. Engine is cold. Making sure that you... I sincerely hope that was in camera. On camera. In camera. What the fuck am I saying? Let's just do that over again. With your favorite drain pan underneath the radiator on the driver's side. Oh wait, this might also be in right-hand drive countries. Fuck! With your radiator... Oh god. You can use a needle nose plier to help you in assisting... I don't know how you people, like, how these fucking guys drive around with these cars, man.
I don't know, man.
Like, it's so annoying. Like, how small is your dick? You know? Like, fuck. You fucking, You're deaf by the time you're like fucking 20. So stupid. Fuck, I don't know what the hell I was gonna say. As your radiator drains, you should take the opportunity to go ahead and get some other shit done. Of course, when this stupid clamp decides to release, your finger will be right there. Finger? Of course, when this stupid clamps... It is just a regular clamp without regular clamp. The next step after... Put your overflow hose... Put the clamp back where it was originally... For all of you folks looking at this nice colored fluid as it goes into the radiator and you're thinking of doing this, what the fuck did I just... I don't even know. God damn. The upper radiator hose, more specific. What you want to do is extend the cord so it's in the fucking camera shot. Do not ever have the system exceed 100 degrees. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you don't like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. I don't want to say that's that. I say that all the time.